Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going right back to the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. What a race, huh? Down to the wire at Imola, a classic track, sadly, in its final contract year.
Absolutely. So much drama.
Yeah, and to really get into it, we've looked at the official F1 YouTube highlights, their live post-race show, and also a really good piece from Motorsports by Alex.
Good sources, lots to unpack.
Right. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Get under the skin of this race. We want to give you a clear picture of the key battles, those big strategy calls, and, the driver performances that really made the difference.
Beyond just the final result.
Exactly. Forget the headlines. Let's get into the story.
And what a story. It kicked off with that incredible start, didn't it? And then it just kept twisting with strategy calls, some brilliant driving.
Yeah.
You had Verstappen taking the win in the end, but McLaren were right there pushing. Ferrari fought back well. Lots of standout drives further down, too. So many threads to follow.
Okay, let's start right there with that explosive opening lap. Verstappen on the front row, but Piastri on pole. And Verstappen just launches this attack into Tamburello. Alex Brundle on the post-race show. He was basically shouting, unbelievable.
You could see why. The replay showed it all, the positioning, how late he dared to brake. Just wow.
And Brundle even noticed him checking his mirrors straight after. Like he knew he just pulled off something big and wanted to see the reaction.
Well, it's interesting because David's analysis on the live feed pointed out Verstappen's actual launch wasn't, perfect, not fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the execution into turn one, that was flawless. He just plain outbraked Piastri, grabbed the lead, and crucially got that track position.
Which is everything in F1, isn't it? Controlling from the front.
It gives you such an advantage, dictating the pace, managing tires. It changes the whole dynamic of your race.
Definitely. And while Max was doing that, the highlights showed plenty else kicking off behind. Russell got a mega start initially.
He did. Looked like he might challenge for a second.
But then he had to back out. And we also saw that tangle between Leclerc and Gasly pretty early on. Gasly ended up in the gravel.
Yeah, tough break for Gasly. That really puts you on the back foot right away. Messes up your whole race plan. Recovery mode from lap one.
So that leads us nicely into strategy, the pit stops, all those calls from the wall. Motorsports by Alex mentioned a whole bunch of stops around lap 10. What was going on there?
Well, it's mostly about managing those tires, isn't it? They start to degrade, lose grip, you lose time. Teams are watching that data like hawks, trying to hit that sweet spot for the pit stop.
The undercut?
Trying for the undercut, exactly.
Yeah.
Pit earlier, hope to gain track position when your rival pits later. Now, McLaren with Piastri, that was interesting. They brought him in really early, lap 14, onto the hards.
Did it work, though? I saw reports of a slow stop.
Yeah, 3.6 seconds, both Motorsports by Alex, and the highlights picked up on that. Not ideal. Ruth on the live show even suggested McLaren might have maybe misjudged it slightly, pitting him into traffic, potentially.
Right. And then, lap 29, Ocon stops on track. Virtual safety car.
Ah, the VSC. Always throws a spanner in the works.
Totally. And Motorsports by Alex pointed out this was huge for the guys who hadn't pitted yet, like Verstappen and Norris.
Massive advantage. They could pit, get fresh tires, and lose much less time compared to pitting under green flag conditions.
So Verstappen pits under VSC, clean stop.
Comes out still comfortably leading, about 20 seconds ahead of Norris, according to the article. Huge cushion.
And Norris gets a cheap stop, too, keeps him in the fight.
Yeah, allowed him to close right up on Piastri, kept him in the mix without losing too much ground to Max. A real game changer, that VSC.
But the strategic drama wasn't done. Lap 46, Antonelli has his issue. Full safety car this time.
Right, another twist.
And McLaren face another big call. Norris pits again, fresh tires. Piastri stays out on his older hards. That really got people talking. Ruth on the live show was quite strong on this, suggesting maybe McLaren should have thought about swapping them, especially as they had no fresh tires left for Oscar.
And that's the heart of the team strategy debate, isn't it? Norris, on the fresher rubber, clearly had the potential to maybe challenge Verstappen later on. Piastri was a bit of a sitting duck on older tires.
So why not swap?
Well, it's tough. Do you prioritize the potential challenge for the win, even if it means disadvantaging the driver currently ahead, or do you hold station? David, on the other feed, acknowledged Ruth's point, but felt Verstappen's pace was probably strong enough anyway.
Tricky balance. Maximize team points versus going for the absolute glory.
Always calculation. And meanwhile, you had Leclerc feeling pretty frustrated. He felt that VSC really messed up his race.
Yeah, he mentioned that. And his second stop seemed to cost him places, too. Just compounded a tough weekend after qualifying didn't go to plan.
It just shows, doesn't it? You can have a plan, but F1 throws curveballs, safety cars, VSCs. You constantly have to adapt. Sometimes the luck just isn't with you.
Okay, let's shift to the action, the actual racing. Norris, after that second stop under the safety car, he was flying.
He was on a mission.
The highlights in the article showed him getting past Russell for third pretty quickly. And then he breezed past his teammate Piastri for P2. The tire difference was just huge.
Yeah, that tire advantage was significant. He used it well. But again, that overtake on Piastri, while simple because of the tires, it just brings you back to that McLaren strategy question.
Should they have let him have a proper go at Verstappen?
Potentially. It's easy to say in hindsight, of course.
Yeah.
Difficult call in the moment for the pit wall.
Then you had Hamilton. What a recovery drive from him.
Seriously impressive.
Caught it on the hards, had a lot of work to do. Motorsports by Alex. Detailed his moves getting past Antonelli, Hadjar.
Yeah.
And then those late passes on Leclerc and Russell to grab P4. The article even joked about the roar he must have got from the Tifosi, his future fans.
Haha, probably.
Yeah.
But seriously, it was a masterclass in managing those hard tires, running long and then attacking late, showed all his racecraft, great overtakes.
Good signs for Ferrari fans watching, for sure.
Definitely.
And we absolutely have to talk about that fight for P5. Albon versus Leclerc. That was intense.
It really was great stuff.
The live show, Brundle broke it down really well, and the article mentioned it too. That moment, Albon ran wide through the gravel.
Close call.
And then Leclerc was told to give the position back straight away to avoid a penalty. Proper wheel-to-wheel stuff.
And it showed Albon was genuinely fighting a Ferrari on merit in that Williams. Fantastic to see. Though Albon himself sounded a bit disappointed afterwards.
Yeah. What do you say?
He felt P4, maybe even a podium, could have been on the cards, which just shows how much progress Williams have made and his ambition.
That's brilliant for them. Holding your own against the big teams. It highlights how tight that midfield battle is and the importance of, sticking to the rules even when you're right in the thick of it.
Absolutely. Every point matters. Every position fought for.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Driver performances, team feelings. Verstappen, obviously dominant. He was quoted saying the car had a massive improvement from Friday.
Yeah, and praised the team's execution. It just shows, even when you're fast, you never stop refining, looking for more. That's Red Bull's strength, that relentless pursuit.
And Piastri. He's on the podium, P3. But sounded, a bit gutted in the interviews.
He did, said things that didn't go our way.
And acknowledged Red Bull were just quicker.
Which is honest. It reflects the expectations now, doesn't it? A podium is great, but when you're fighting at the front, you always want more. And it shows McLaren know they still have a gap to close for outright wins consistently.
Norris, though, another podium. He's just churning out results right now.
So consistent.
And that whole debate about whether McLaren should have let him attack Max really underlines his form, his hunger. Roof's point about giving Lando the chance definitely struck a chord.
For sure. His consistency is impressive. And having two drivers performing at that level is, it's a good problem for McLaren to have, but it does create those tricky strategy calls we talked about.
How about Ferrari? Tough qualifying, but Vettel called it a good Sunday.
Yeah, focused on the race pace, the execution being strong. But he also said they need to improve Saturdays.
Which Hamilton seemed to back up, saying the car felt good in the race itself.
Right. So they recovered well on Sunday, got good points, but that qualifying performance is still the key area. Starting further up makes life so much easier. They know that.
And Albon, P5 for Williams. Just a fantastic result, battling Ferraris, McLarens on pure pace.
Huge result for them, shows their progress, and Albon drove brilliantly. His slight disappointment at only P5 tells you their ambition is growing.
Definitely one to watch. We also saw Colapinto step into the Alpine, called it a decent weekend, focused on learning.
Which is fair enough, jumping in like that. Good experience.
And Tsunoda recovered well after his qualifying crash to get points for RB. Showed good resilience.
Yeah, both good examples of the talent up and down the grid. Colapinto doing a solid job with minimal prep, Tsunoda bouncing back from a big shunt. That's professional racing.
But it wasn't good news for everyone. Antonelli, tough home race, that technical issue causing the safety car.
Yeah, shame for him.
Alonso called his race torture pace issues. Strategy didn't work out for Aston Martin.
Ouch. Yeah, sounds like a painful one.
And Mercedes.
Yeah.
Well, a pretty disappointing weekend overall, wasn't it? Only Russell scoring points.
It really shows how tight the margins are. A technical glitch, a strategy that doesn't pan out, or just not having the ultimate car pace. It can derail your whole weekend so easily. Even for the big teams, it's just the nature of F1.
So, final points.
No.
Championship picture. Motorsports by Alex. Noted Piastri still leads Norris, but Verstappen's win really closed that gap.
Yeah, it's definitely tightening up at the top. Verstappen's got momentum now after Imola. But with Piastri and Norris still right there, looks like we could have a proper three-way fight developing. Exciting stuff.
And next up, Monaco.
Monaco. Completely different challenge.
Totally. Tight streets, walls everywhere. Qualifying is just everything. Often decided by tiny margins.
Hundreds, thousands sometimes. Track position there is king because overtaking is virtually impossible.
Leclerc won there last year, didn't he? He'll be wanting a repeat in front of his home crowd.
He'll be hugely motivated. But Monaco, it always throws up surprises, doesn't it? Any tiny mistake, quali or race, can be game over. Past success helps, but momentum can shift fast. You just never know.
So wrapping up our deep dive on Imola. A dominant Verstappen win, yes, but so much else going on. Fascinating strategy plays, great battles all through the field, and a championship fight that's really getting interesting.
Absolutely. And we hope digging into it like this has given you, the listener, a much richer feel for the race beyond the basic results, looking at the strategies, the drives, those key moments that decided things.
Definitely. So here's a final thought to take away, looking ahead to Monaco. With that track being so unique, so demanding on qualifying, how do you think the momentum shifts we saw at Imola, and maybe the strategic lessons learned, will play out there? Who do you think has the edge heading to the Principality?
Good question. Something for everyone to think about until our next deep dive.